In the heart of bustling Los Angeles stands a tall, unassuming building, a hotel that looks no different from thousands of others. But behind its aging walls lies a history soaked in tragedy, unexplained deaths, and chilling disappearances. This isn't just a hotel, it's a place where the line between reality and nightmare begins to blur. And among all the terrifying tales born here, one name has haunted the world like no other: Elisa Lam. Welcome to the disappearances at the Cecil Hotel, where mysteries never rest. Located in the heart of Los Angeles, near the grim and shadowy Skid Row district, the Cecil Hotel was built in 1924 with an impressive scale of 19 floors and 700 rooms. In its early days, the hotel was considered a symbol of luxury and modernity, a prime destination for tourists and business travelers alike visiting the City of Angels. Marble-clad walls, vibrant stained glass windows, and pristine white plaster statues contributed to a rare elegance, setting Cecil apart as one of the most opulent places of its time. However, everything changed rapidly when the Great Depression swept across the United States in the late 1920s and early 1930s. As the economy collapsed, so did the fortunes of millions of people, and with them, the fate of the Cecil Hotel. Once a beacon of high-class accommodation, the hotel gradually fell into obscurity and disrepair, transforming into a low-cost lodging facility. With its surprisingly cheap rates and location near troubled areas like Skid Row, Cecil began attracting a large number of homeless individuals, criminals, addicts, and those who carried darkness within their souls. Since 1944, the Cecil Hotel has become entangled in a series of chilling events, marking its descent from a place of rest into a symbol of tragedy and lingering dread. Stories of mysterious deaths, heartbreaking suicides, and brutal crimes have clung to the hotel's name like a shadow, gradually shaping its terrifying reputation that endures to this day. The earliest documented incident occurred in 1944, when a 19-year-old woman named Dorothy Jean Purcell was staying at the Cecil with her boyfriend. Unaware that she was pregnant, Dorothy unexpectedly gave birth in the hotel bathroom. In a state of panic and mental distress, she threw the newborn out of the window from an upper floor. The infant died instantly upon hitting the street below. Dorothy was later taken to court, but declared mentally unfit and committed to a psychiatric hospital. From that moment on, it seemed as though a gate of sorrow and death had been flung open, never to close again. Throughout the 1920s to the 1950s, the hotel became the site of a string of suicides. Guests leapt from the upper floors, ingested poison, used firearms, or resorted to other tragic methods. The nickname the Suicide Hotel began circulating among the public, like an invisible curse hanging over Cecil's rooftop. Every room, every hallway felt as if it were holding on to the memories of restless souls that refused to leave. But the horror did not end there. In 1985, one of the darkest chapters in the hotel's legacy was written when Richard Ramirez, a notorious serial killer known as the Night Stalker, chose Cecil as his hideout during his killing spree. Ramirez was said to return to the hotel in the early hours of the morning, barefoot and shirtless, with blood-stained clothes and hands. Strangely, no one questioned him. His presence at the Cecil not only deepened its aura of fear and despair, but also reinforced its reputation as a sanctuary for those haunted by their own darkness. In 2013, the Cecil Hotel once again captured global attention with the mysterious disappearance and death of Elisa Lam, a 21-year-old woman from Vancouver, Canada. Elisa arrived in Los Angeles on January 26, 2013, carrying with her a dream of exploring the world. She was a bright young student attending the University of British Columbia. Through her posts on Tumblr, Elisa revealed a sensitive and introspective soul, one that wrestled with deep thoughts and personal struggles. She was also battling bipolar disorder. Despite this, She kept in regular contact with her family, calling her parents daily to share her travel experiences. But after checking into the Cecil, everything began to shift. At first, Elisa was placed in a shared room on the 5th floor with other guests. However, after just 2 days, her roommates complained about her strange behavior. She had been leaving odd notes around the room that read "Go home" or "Go away," locking the door and demanding a password for re-entry. Hotel manager Amy Price eventually moved her to a private room, but the change did little to calm the turbulence brewing inside Elisa, or perhaps within the hotel itself. On January 31st, the day Elisa was scheduled to check out and continue her journey to Santa Cruz, she vanished. Her family, alarmed by the sudden break in communication, reported her missing. The Los Angeles Police Department launched an investigation, scouring the hotel and even using sniffer dogs to search for clues. But there was nothing, no trace, no evidence. It was as if Elisa had simply disappeared into thin air. Only one piece of evidence remained: the infamous elevator surveillance footage recorded on the night she was last seen. In the video, Elisa steps into the elevator wearing a red hoodie, black shorts, and flip-flops. She lowers herself toward the control panel and presses multiple buttons in quick succession, as if trying to get the elevator to move. But the doors don't close. They remain open, unmoving, gaping like the mouth of something waiting. Elisa then begins to move strangely, retreating into the corner of the elevator, pressing herself against the wall as if hiding from something or someone outside. She peeks out cautiously into the hallway, looking left and right, then steps out, back in again, almost as if playing a deadly game with an unseen pursuer. The most unsettling part happens around the 2-minute mark. Elisa is now standing just outside the elevator. She waves her arms, spins in place, her movements erratic and unnatural, as though she's speaking to someone. Yet the hallway is empty. Not a single soul is visible. She gestures, seemingly trying to push something away, like fending off an invisible force. Then, as if suddenly seized by something unseen, she walks out of view. The elevator doors, which had been inexplicably open this whole time, finally close. That was the last time Elisa Lam was ever seen alive. The footage is haunting not only because of Elisa's bizarre behavior, but also because of the unexplainable details. Why didn't the elevator doors close? Was someone pressing the door open button from outside the frame? Or, as some speculate, was the video edited, perhaps to hide something? There's a strange moment of skipped footage that has fueled these suspicions. And most chilling of all, what exactly was Elisa running from? A person, a hallucination, or something far beyond what we can comprehend? After the release of the surveillance footage, amateur investigators online began to propose various theories. One of the most chilling ideas that emerged was that Elisa may have been playing the elevator game, an urban spiritual ritual originating from Japan and South Korea. This game requires a player to enter an elevator alone in a building with at least 10 floors and press the buttons in a specific sequence: 4, 2, 6, 2, 10, and 5. If done correctly, at the 5th floor, a mysterious woman will step into the elevator. The player is forbidden to look at or speak to her. If everything unfolds as planned, the elevator will supposedly take you to another dimension. Elisa's behavior in the video seemed to match the game's description. She presses multiple buttons at once, moves erratically, and appears to interact with something invisible. Some people believe Elisa accidentally summoned a supernatural entity, with the cost being her very life. But could a smart, rational girl like Elisa have actually participated in such a dangerous ritual? Or is this just a product of collective imagination fueled by the obsession with her tragic death? With its dark history, the Cecil Hotel is a fertile ground for eerie tales. It's rumored that the spirits of those who died there still wander its halls, whispering into the ears of unsuspecting guests. Could Elisa have heard those whispers, leading her to the fateful elevator? Or is it all simply a manifestation of her mental illness, as the police later concluded? On February 19, 2013, nearly 3 weeks after Elisa's disappearance, a hotel maintenance worker was called to check the rooftop water tanks. Guests had complained about weak water pressure and a strange smell coming from the taps. When the worker climbed the ladder and opened the heavy 20-pound tank lid, he was confronted with a sight that would haunt him for life: the naked body of Elisa Lam, floating lifeless in the dark, murky water. The police were called, and Elisa's body was retrieved from the water tank. Her clothing, matching the outfit she wore in the elevator footage, was found at the bottom of the tank. The coroner's report confirmed that Elisa died from drowning, with no signs of physical trauma or poisoning. The death was ruled as an accident, with bipolar disorder being a significant factor. However, many questions remained, lingering like a ghost in the air. How could Elisa, a petite young woman, have climbed to the rooftop, bypassed a locked door and alarm system, and crawled into the water tank? The lid was too heavy for her to lift on her own. And why did she remove her clothes, letting them sink to the bottom with her? Some believe Elisa experienced a mental breakdown that caused her to act uncontrollably, but others refuse to accept this explanation. They believe that some other force, whether human or supernatural, led Elisa to her tragic death. The case of Elisa Lam has been closed in the police files, but in the minds of the public, it remains an unsolvable enigma. The Cecil Hotel, with its bloody and tearful past, seems to have claimed yet another soul. Some believe Elisa was the victim of a curse, that the walls of Cecil whispered seductive words, pulling her into the darkness. Others suggest she was hunted, that someone stood just outside the frame in the elevator footage, a figure we will never see. In 2021, Netflix released the documentary series Crime Scene: The Vanishing at the Cecil Hotel, aiming to shed light on the case. Director Joe Berlinger sought to dispel conspiracy theories, emphasizing that Elisa's death was a tragic accident stemming from her mental illness. However, even the documentary couldn't extinguish the questions. Why are there strange details in the elevator footage? Why were there no security cameras on the floor where Elisa stayed? And why, in a hotel filled with crime, did no one see anything the night she disappeared? After decades tied to chilling incidents and a dark history, the Cecil Hotel officially closed in 2017. Since then, much of the building has fallen into a state of disrepair. Only a few residents remain on the second and third floors, while the other floors are completely empty, covered in dust and silence, eerily abandoned. The long, empty hallways, closed doors, and the gloomy atmosphere make the hotel feel like a forgotten museum of crime. However, the Cecil Hotel has not been entirely forgotten. Plans for renovation and reopening have been proposed, with the aim of transforming the place into an iconic destination, attracting tourists and those fascinated by its mysterious history. Despite its haunting past, many are still drawn to its eerie allure, as if they are searching for the boundary between the real and the unreal, between the human world and the inexplicable. And if the Cecil ever reopens, it will certainly not lack curious eyes watching over it.